So a question I get constantly about the timed attacks is, how can you make a certain thing occur based off of how well the player performed on the timed attack? For example, how to make a player get a critical hit based on how well they did in the timed attack, how to change the animation based on how well the timed attack was done, how to completely change the action sequence performed based on the timed attack, and other stuff like that. And so in today's video, we'll be going over how you can make all of that happen using conditional branches for your timed attacks within action sequences. So as you see right here, I have the most basic of basic action sequences. So all it does is perform the action, do the animation, do the damage, and then wait. This is what's going to happen by default if you don't have any target action normally in your skill ID, whatever box thingy. Anyway, today we will be using this to create our own different types of forms of timed attack influences on our skill. So let's get straight into it. To start off, what we're going to need to know is the if statement, so if and end. And what this is going to do is it's going to check a condition, and if that condition is true, so whatever's in between this if and end is going to occur. So for example, if the condition is game temp dot task power is greater than 0, then if this is true, then whatever's in here is going to happen. So for example, if you remove this end right here and maybe organize this a bit, then go to the end of this and then do an end. As you could probably guess, if this is true, in other words, if the player at least gets anything better than absolute failure on the timed attack, the skill will occur. So if they do fail the timed attack, it'll skip over the skill entirely, but if they do it at any degree, the skill will work. So let's try it out by copying and pasting it into this fire skill. As you may also notice, we're using a clock timed attack. Anyway, let's get straight into this. So to start off, when we use a fire skill and we do it, say, not perfectly, say we miss it, then guess what happens? The fire skill just doesn't work at all, actually. But now, if we do it and we actually hit it in the correct mark and whatever, so we'll go to fire, get the actual task 1 or whatever, it'll actually use the skill. And that's really all it takes. Pretty simple, right? Anyway, let's continue. Next, let's say, for example, you want to make so a critical hit occurs based on whether or not the game temp task power is high enough. So to do this, let's actually remove this end right here and get rid of all of that. Instead, let's go up here and actually put an end right here. And instead of doing greater than 0, let's do greater than 0.9, for example, which means it has to be at 0.9 or above to have this condition be true, which means it has to be pretty accurate. So in here, we'll input something like, I don't know, force critical, like that. And this is an action sequence action that comes from the critical core, or critical control from Yanfly right here. So you're going to need to have both the damage core and the critical control to use this. Anyway, once you have that set up and ready to go, all you gotta do is this, and you can pretty much customize how powerful the game temp task power needs to be for this critical to occur. And so we set to 0.9, though if you want to make it even more hard, you can set to 0.95, or even 0.98, but that'd be extremely difficult and almost impossible. Anyway, we'll leave it at 0.9 for now. Anyway, back in our fire skill, let's replace the old action sequence with our new one, and also set it so this new timed attack is going to be the circle timed attack, so like that. So now, when we use a fire skill and we do it like sorta not good, like that, it's not going to do a critical hit. However, if we do it a lot better, it should force a critical hit to happen no matter what. So after our slimes are done hitting me, let's go back to our magic, fire, hit the slime, do it really close, and when we do so, this hit will be a critical hit, as you see right here. So the next thing to do is actually make it so the animation changes based off of how well the timed attack was performed. So by default, this right here sets it so an animation is played based off of the skill's animation. So let's remove that and instead replace it with our game temp task power thingy whatever right here. And instead, let's remove this force critical and set it so if it's greater than 0.5, for example. Now here, we're going to set it so it does animation, say for example 100, is set on target. And it's that simple. All that's going to happen is animation ID 100 is going to be played on target if game temp task power is greater than 0.5. Now we still want an animation to play if this is like less than 0.5, so what we can do is actually do else and then end. Now what this else is going to do is it's going to call different actions if this is false. So if this is true, this is going to be called. But if this is false, we'll say, I don't know, animation 1 is going to be called like that. And that way we can have two separate animations depending on whether you did like very good or just like halfway good or halfway bad. Anyway, let's copy this and paste it into our skill. Also, before we continue, let's first check out the animations that are going to occur. So right here, animation ID 1 is going to be this little like pow thing, and that's it. Then animation ID 100, which is right here, light all 3, is going to be this massive, huge, bzzz animation thing that goes on. Anyway, let's use our fire skill and then do it like the really weak way first, so we get the weak animation. So, bam, just a very weak animation. Our slime's gonna hit me a couple times. Then this next time, let's try the more powerful one by trying to get better than 0.5 in our game temp task power. So we'll wait for it to get really low, and now our new animation will play since we got it in the top 50% of goodness. Yeah, there we go. Now the final thing to do is to make it so different action sequences play based off of how well the timed attack was performed. Now, you probably have already figured this out if you watch this video up until this point. All we really gotta do is, first of all, let's get this animation back and ready to go. So, action, animation, like that. We'll call it this, we'll put it up down here, like this. So we have one big thing. It'll make sure this entire thing is played when it's greater than 0.5. But if it's less than 0.5, we'll do the same thing, but we'll remove the actual, like, damage, we'll remove the animation, and just leave the motion. So right here we have boop, and we'll do boop. We'll do up here, and we'll go boop, and we'll go right here, and we'll go boop. So what's going to happen is, if it's greater than 0.5, we're going to do the entire skill. But if it isn't, that means you're just going to perform the action and not do anything else. No animation, no damage, just nothing. And then we'll end it. So let's copy this and paste it into our skill. So now, finally, when we do our fire skill and we do it really good, it will result in the normal animation stuff happening. The motion, the animation, the damage, the everything. But after these slimes are done attacking us, we'll see what happens when we don't do it very well. So we'll go to magic, we'll do fire, and we'll immediately hit the button, just get a really big circle. And as you notice, we'll do the motion, and then nothing else will happen. No animation, no damage, and that's a completely different action sequence. And that's all for this video. If you enjoyed, please give this video a like and subscribe. Is there anything else you want to see in terms of action sequences and timed attacks combining together? Or do you just have any other ideas you have created? Anyway, that's all for now. Until next time.